Hey everybody, Corey here, and welcome to tonight's episode of Another Hater Gamer. Tonight, we're looking at... No, you know what? I'm not going to fake a smile for you people. This abysmal game is an insult to the action-adventure genre as a whole. Seriously, if he wasn't just out of arm's reach playing my 3DS right now, I would strangle the man who suggested I review this game. But you know what? I'm going to do it. You know why? Because I'm the bigger man. It's time to face up to this atrocity and confront it, once and for all. Tonight, we're looking at Bayonetta. Bayonetta is an action-adventure game developed by Platinum Games and published by Sega in 2010. The game was directed by none other than Hideki Kamiya. If that name sounds familiar to you, that's because he brought us such Capcom classics as Okami, Devil May Cry, and Resident Evil. Does this game measure up to his previous achievements? I doubt it. Now, before we go any further, I want to show you what my first impression of the game was like. When I first heard this game was announced, this is what I had seen, and this is what got me excited. Wait a minute. Are you serious? Is that me? Am I playing on that falling piece of the clock tower? Look at this. This is ridiculous. There's angels everywhere. I'm running around. This thing's twirling around in a downward spiral to ultimate destruction. This is ridiculous. This is amazing. Now there's a nice image. Pissing on Hideki Kamiya's grave. Seems like a pretty good metaphor for his career. Speaking of pissing, that's Bayonetta's and 2-bit informant sidekick, Enzo. He's a spineless bastard who basically provides Bayonetta with her first real adventure hook to get this adventure going. Speaking of Bayonetta, here's our heroine now. Obviously in some kind of a nun uniform, as if she's saying a prayer over this man's grave. At this point, we just basically listen to Enzo ramble on and on and on about this man they've allegedly murdered. So until we get to the real point of this video, I think we're just going to fast forward for a bit. Well, that didn't look so bad, right? I mean, we just watched her down a couple of angels. I mean, that wasn't so far from Hideki Kamiya's work like, say, the Devil May Cry franchise. But just wait, it gets better. Shut up, Enzo. Nobody cares. Now this is Rodon. If you ask me, this is the guy the game should have been about. He's the only actually respectable character you can even come close to taking seriously in this abysmal disaster of a video game. Now hang on just a sec. Did she just say what I think she just said? Do you naughty angels deserve a good spanking? Now, at this point, the game is trying way too hard to compete with its predecessor, the Devil May Cry franchise. Hideki Kamiya should know better. This isn't even funny. This is just bizarre. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our heroine, Sarah Palin. Now, at least with the Devil May Cry franchise, Hideki Kamiya had his head on straight. The cinematics were stylish and over the top in a way that was still acceptable and cool. In Bayonetta's case, it's just over the top and ridiculous in a way that's just laughably absurd. Like, not even humorous, so it's just stupid. Are Are you guys beginning to see my frustration here? I mean, everything that I once respected and loved about Hideki Kamiya is gone now. This guy is completely off his rocker. You can't even begin to take this game seriously. And just to reaffirm that, let's stop and take a look at some gameplay. So the game really opens up in this tutorial of sorts, where you're supposed to take on all these angels that have ambushed Bayonetta and Enzo in this cemetery. Now, as you can see, as you down angels, they explode into sonic rings, which we can go ahead and assume just take the place of red orbs from Devil May Cry. Like, I'm not even kidding. You use these things to pay for upgrades at Rodin's shop later on in the game. Now, this is one of the issues that really should have been addressed in this game. This is something that's become something of fad, especially with gaming hitting the mainstream. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but in this particular case, new gamers aren't really used to the difficulty we've come to understand. So these kind of gimmicks are put in games where enemies that should normally be relatively difficult to put down can be down with single moves that eliminate 80% or more of their health, eliminating the real need for effort. Now here's yet another gimmick they've put in this game. That's two revealed to you in the tutorial that take the need to be good at this game completely out. If you can time your dodge to the very last second, you enter what's called a witch time that lasts for a few seconds, in which everyone but you is moving in slow motion. Now, if this game wasn't easy enough with the one-hit kill moves and the general weakness of the enemies, you can now actually make them completely useless as opponents. Now, this might sound like nitpicking a little bit, but here in the tutorial we have only combat, and we get to hear this game's battle music for the first time. Now listen carefully to it. This like love song lullaby, do you really think this passes for combat music? I mean, it's as if the very makers of this game were intentionally trying to parody the Devil May Cry franchise. Alright, now that we've talked about the ridiculously retarded cinematic action, the gimmicky enemies, and all of these things that have made this game difficult to take seriously, it's time for us to really talk about what really chaps my hide. I want to talk about this game's similarities to the Devil May Cry franchise. Now, normally, you would not consider similarities to Devil May Cry a bad thing. Those games are phenomenal. However, when this game was announced, Hideki Kamiya promised two things. One, he promised that the demo would be so fantastic, owners of the actual game would want to go back and play the demo. Two, he swore that this game would not just be another Devil May Cry. And while I guess he was right, it wound up actually just being a really bad parody of the Devil May Cry franchise. Now, I know we already talked about the similarities between Bayonetta and Devil May Cry as far as Bayonetta collecting halos from killed enemies to use to upgrade her character, much like the red orbs in Devil May Cry. So it's kind of pointless to recover that ground again, but I would like to talk about some of the other similarities. In this case, leveling up. Now looking at consumable items, we have the green herb lollipop and the mega green herb lollipop. These take the place of the small and large vital stars from the Devil May Cry series. They will do exactly what the vital stars did in that they will restore your health by a set amount when you need them the most. Now, we also have the purple magic lollipop and the mega purple magic lollipop. These take the place of the purple stars, which would replenish your devil trigger gauge. Now, moving on through the list, we have the magic flute. Now, the magic flute is literally the holy water from Devil May Cry. Like, there's really no excuse for this item. It is literally that, in that when you use it, it will affect enemies within a certain radius of you for massive amounts of damage. Now, when I say leveling up, I really mean things like in Devil May Cry, how you would use blue orbs and, the purple orbs to increase the size of your life bar or devil trigger. In this case, we have witch hearts and moon pearls. Now, these items are literally the exact same items, broken into the same number of pieces that you have to find throughout the game and or purchase in the shop for Halos. Now, these items will permanently increase Bayonetta's HP and magic. Now, you can also purchase additional weapons by collecting these items referred to as golden LPs. Now, they're rare items scattered throughout the game that you can give to Rodin, who will go into the depths of hell and fight a demon and bring back their soul in the form of the weapon of your choosing. Now, maybe it's just me, but that sounds an awful lot like Devil Arms from the Devil May Cry series. I really don't know what else to tell you people. Regardless of the fact that this game is absurdly easy and just a cheap Devil May Cry knockoff with a hollow plot filled with Sarah Palin bodysuit fan service and just senseless, stupid humor, this game has received unreal praise. I mean, I don't know what they saw in it, because I don't see it at all. Why this even has a place on my shelf, I'll never know. Look, just spare yourself the grief. Don't pick up this game. Don't play it. Don't even talk about it. Try to pretend the game never happened. Try to pretend you never even watched this video. Seriously, it's better that you just forget about it. Repress the memories. Just no. Did you enjoy the review? Boy, I sure hope so, because I sure didn't enjoy making it. Now, if you'd like to see me review another game, please feel free to leave a message in the comments section, or feel free to email me at anotherhatergamer@gmail.com. Feel free to subscribe, and thanks again for watching. Until next time, as always, peace.